Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Gerard Pratt, and joining us today from the Australian Army is Major Andy Kemp. We warmly welcome the family of Private Gilbert Harding Pratt, whose story will be told shortly. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL and Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria and RSL Queensland, who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony from across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the pool of reflection by family, visitors and students on behalf of the Christian College Geelong, Senior Campus, Warren Ponds, Victoria. I'd invite you all to please stand and join in singing the National Anthem. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through until the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we'll read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Private Gilbert Harding Pratt, who was killed during the First World War. Gilbert Pratt was born in 1893, one of 10 children of James and Anne Pratt of Junee in New South Wales in the Riverina region. He attended school at Yathella, while his parents ran the Wallistown Hotel on the old Junee Road. Afterwards, he lived at Wallistown, where he farmed and grazed sheep on a block adjoining Hooligans Creek. He also paraded part-time with the 16th Field Battery Artillery in nearby Wagga Wagga and became engaged to Ethel Simmons, who lived nearby. In March 1916, just 2 months after the Kangaroo Recruitment March had passed through the area, Pratt travelled to Goulburn to volunteer for active service in the Australian Imperial Force. After a period of training, he embarked for England with a reinforcement group for the 55th Battalion in October 1916. Pratt spent several months training on the Salisbury Plain in Wiltshire before embarking for France in December 1916. He linked up with the 55th Battalion soon after its move to the Somme, taking up positions between the villages of Fleur and Gueudecourt. A bleak combination of autumn rains and constant artillery bombardment turned the landscape into a sea of glutinous mud, made all the worse by the freezing weather. Disease was endemic in the squalid trenches, and Pratt was evacuated to the field hospital by the French coast in January 1917, suffering from scabies. He returned to the battalion in February before being hospitalised with the same condition just several days later. By the time Pratt returned to the battalion in March, the German army had withdrawn from its winter positions, and the 5th Division, including the 55th Battalion, spearheaded the subsequent advance. In April, Gilbert Pratt participated in the battalion's costly actions in Douanier, where it re-established contact with the German army in an outpost to the Hindenburg Line, a new and much more formidable defensive system comprising of thick belts of barbed wire, machine gun positions and views of its approaches. At around this time, Gilbert wrote, "The Germans are in full retreat on this front. I won't worry if they keep on retreating at all, and at present it looks as though we may have peace before the end of summer." The 5th Division was spread across the disastrous assault made by the Australians on the Hindenburg Line, but was drawn into the fighting over the following weeks. By then, the Australians had succeeded in breaking the Hindenburg Line and were holding it against fierce counterattacks and heavy bombardments. On the 21st of May 1917, Gilbert was manning a Lewis machine gun on a frontline trench just outside of a village called Bullecourt. A German shell landed nearby and exploded, killing Pratt and another man instantly. He was given a hasty burial and was later reinterred at Queant in a cemetery in Busey. He was 24 years old. Gilbert's grieving mother, brother and sister inserted the following epitaph into the local newspaper. "It's not the tears at the moment shed that we tell how beloved the soul that's fled. 'Tis the silent tears through long nights wept and fond remembrance ever kept." His fiancée Ethel Simmons later described him as "a loving man, my Gilbert, a real gentleman. I shall never forget him." Gilbert Pratt is listed on the Roll of Honour on my right, among more than 60,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. This is but one of many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private Gilbert Pratt, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozieres or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. We thank you all for visiting the Australian War Memorial and wish you all a very good evening. Thank you.